Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jeani. We're here in the ACC community room, and today's gentle yoga class is basically, as usual, we're working through our major muscle groups, just working the system so that we can have some lubrication to our major joints as well. And hopefully you get some relief, as we're moving into the colder months and your body is getting stiffer, just having a little more attention and focus and time with the body to help you, through the cold and all your other things. So let's go ahead and start at the back of the mat as we usually do. Start some music playing. And as we're arriving, just give yourself a chance to notice how you're arriving. As you come to the back of the mat, feel the feet. Notice how the legs feel. And as you're in your home base position of mountain, we'll begin to arrive and notice the breath starting to slow. And we'll begin our connection and cultivation to our yogic breath. Go ahead and bring your left palm to rest on your chest, right palm under the belly button. Keep that gentle bend to the knees if your legs are feeling a little achy. We'll go ahead and inhale deeply with a little more focus. Notice how the hand lifts with the inhale, the top of the inhale. And then on that slow descent of an exhale, feel the air exiting the nose. And gently press in the belly hand at the bottom of that exhale. Engage your core. And as we breathe like this for the next couple of breaths, just notice how it feels as it's traveling through the body. And we'll finish cultivating the breath with the sound of the ocean at the back of the throat. Both the inhales and the outhales. All right, we'll go ahead and bring our hands down to the side. You can be connected to that Ujjayi breath anytime. Just think about it. And as we move to our first connection here, we're going to bring movement and breath together, just simply lengthening through the legs. Inhaling, drawing up energy from the legs, all the way up the body, through the crown of the head. With the exhale, feel that energy leaving the body, reversing energy to the feet, to the earth, and feel a little more rooted, core engaged at the bottom of that exhale. Next inhale, we start to tip our center of gravity towards our toes. Use the top of that inhale, hopefully for the edge of the tipping, and then use the exhale. Start to roll that center of gravity towards the heels. And play with that. With the next couple of breaths, just give yourself that idea of where the center is as it travels from heel to toe. And we'll meet back at center, somewhere above the arches, nearer to the heels. You can reset your mountain. You can lift a foot, both feet, and lengthening the legs as it's available. Just a little taller in your mountain every time you return to it. We'll go ahead and inhale. Feel that energy once more lifting all the way up through the body, through the crown of the head. And with the exhale, just slowly roll the weight towards the outer right edge of the feet. Your body is one nice long stick, if you will. Fully exhaled. Let's go ahead and inhale all the way back up to center. And then exhale over to the other side. Use a 3-part breath or that 2-part breath, inhaling and exhaling from side to side. And see if you can just get that rolling of the center of gravity at the soles of the feet. And then we'll meet at the center once more, nearer to the arches and the heels. And then, coming on up, we'll go ahead and make circular movements with our right leg first. So inhaling, standing weight to the right foot, left foot. Let's go ahead and lift the right heel. Start making small circles with that ankle, one direction. And when you find that space, the movement is good and lubricated, go ahead and make small circles in the opposite direction. You can make larger circles as you find that room and space is available. Go ahead and bring that right foot back down. Find balanced weight between the feet once more. You can bounce on the knees, lengthening into our home base of mountain once more, bringing standing weight to the right leg slightly. Let's go ahead and lift the left heel and start making small rolling circles at the ankles. And you can start enlarging the circles and basically see where that goes. If it feels good, go ahead and stop, and then make small circles in the opposite direction. Any popping, any crunchy dryness, hopefully it feels better with a little more lubrication. We'll go ahead and bring that foot to rest, bring standing balance weight to both feet once more. And let's go ahead and inhale all the way to the top of the crown of the head and feel like you're just getting a little longer. See if you can tuck the tailbone underneath and slightly pressing the hips forward as we move on up through the body. So here we're going to start shifting our weight from left to right foot. Just start shifting it and then keeping the feet down. Maybe we can pivot out the toes a little bit more to each side as we start to slowly bring momentum to the upper body. The torso is moving at the waist, and yet we're pivoting along with our legs, lifting the ball of the foot perhaps at that side where we move the torso. We don't want to just keep the ball of the foot down. We just want to move a little bit and just get a little bit of extra movement. Alrighty, and with that momentum, the arms might be moving, tapping along the sides, but then we're going to let that peter out and come on back to a static mountain, bringing the feet underneath the hips once more. Let's go ahead and roll to the balls of the feet, to the tip toes, and back to the heels. These are all nice little counter movements that you can make. And we'll go ahead and move to the shoulders, standing up nice and tall once more. See if you can lengthen through the legs just a little bit more. And as we were going through that side-to-side rolling of our center of gravity at the soles of the feet, see if you can find a good balance of all points of the feet, just simply going down. See if you're rolling out towards the outer edge, rolling in towards the inner arches. We really want just nice flat support at the feet. And when you're there, you can feel the balls of the feet pressing downwards as you lengthen through the legs. An internal rotation of the thighs just slightly helps you to tuck that tailbone under a little bit more and lifting up the chest and the spine just to bring a little more alignment from the shoulder being above the hips, over the knees and ankles. So from here, go ahead and relax the hands, nice and relaxed arms, but we're going to inhale, shoulders come up, and at the very top of the inhale, we stop for a brief pause and then exhale, roll them back and down. Fully exhale to engage the core and just let the shoulders relax. We'll do a total of 4 of these. Inhaling up, exhale, roll them back and down. And as you're moving through this, don't forget about your yogic breath. See if you can use the sound of the ocean to help clue you in, help bring you into that yogic connection to the breath, and hopefully help to release a little more. I think that was 4, so let's go ahead and move to the second set. We're lifting up with the shoulders, but this round, let's go ahead and roll the shoulders forward on the exhale. They're still going to melt down the back. Fully exhaled, and then we'll inhale up, shoulders roll forward on the exhale. Fully exhaled here, engage the core. And as we're doing this, also remember you can always tuck in the bottom points of the shoulder blades into the mid-back at the bottom of that exhale. And then we'll go ahead, moving on up to the front of the throat, the neck, the head. We'll go ahead and keeping Everything from the shoulders down, one nice column of support. See if you can give yourself a gentle tuck of the chin, and that string at the crown of the head just lifting all the way up. Lifting, so all you have to do is exhale. Bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. Left and right shoulder in one line. If it lifted, go ahead and exhale that shoulder back down. If you haven't already, we'll go ahead and turn on an exhale, the gaze. And here we've given ourselves about 4 breath cycles as well to see if we can release on the left side of the neck. Take that deep ocean breath. See if you can find length even at the sternum. And with the exhales, as you slowly release, maybe you'll find a release along with the breath on that left side of the neck or anywhere else that may be holding tension and activation. That's not necessary to the pose. We'll go ahead on that very last exhale. Bring the eyes with an inhale and the gaze and the center of the head all the way back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, go ahead and bring the left ear towards the left shoulder. Taking a deep breath, finding length even on at the chest with that inhale, and then exhaling, turning the gaze if you haven't already. Palms facing forward to help keep the shoulders rotated away from the ears. And again, the 4 total breath cycles. Inhales, pauses, exhales, pauses. The breath cycle to help you release on the right side of the neck. Maybe the eyes will even rest at the leftmost of your vision. And after that last breath, go ahead and inhale the eyes, the gaze, and the head completely back up. So all you have to do is exhale and let the eyes float towards the top of the mat. You're keeping length to the back of the neck. The front of the neck still has some space between the chin and the chest. When you inhale, there may be a slight tilt of the head towards the ceiling. But see if you can find that deep inhale and exhale facilitated by the yogic breath to help release while you're still feeling supported. And after that last exhale, go ahead and inhale the eyes up towards the midline, past the midline, and as we reach the ceiling, stop craning the neck. Find some space once more, not just at the front of the throat, but at the back. We don't want to rest the back of the head anywhere too sharply. There should be a good space. So all we're hopefully finding in the next few breath cycles are release in the neck, an O, small O opening in the mouth, perhaps enlarging. And then just give yourself some time with each breath. After that last exhale, we're going to bring the eyes back down towards the center and softly gazing out there. Just go ahead and release any appendage. Sometimes it might be your feet gripping, it might be the legs, might be your glutes still actively holding. Whatever it is, try to release from that, and we'll go ahead and start our folds to initiate our walking meditation. So standing in our mountain with a little bit taller, longer legs, taller peak here, let's go ahead and start reaching downwards with our fingers. As you're reaching, inhale, extend the arms upwards. That reaching energy at top can even have the torso lift perhaps. Now, exhaling, we're engaging the core, starting to bend the knees if we need, but we're hinging at the hips. Coming on down, somewhere halfway down, you can walk the hands. Or if you're just unfolding with the back, it's a slow unfold. And our first forward fold is a rag doll. And that's basically because we're just folded over for a long time with the upper body nice and relaxed, kind of looking like a rag doll. So you can do some things like shift your center of gravity. Make sure you find that somewhere at the top of the ankles, near to the heels. You might be able to bend one knee, slightly straighten it, and then alternate with the other leg. bending one knee, lengthening that. You might have the hands resting at different parts of the body, but we really want to try to find that support from the hips all the way down to the heels, and then just try to release the upper back, the arms, even the neck. You can always bobble the head from left to right gently, forward and back. Take a deep breath. See if your hands will just dangle or just release a little more, even if supported at your thighs. And then in the next breath or two, we're going to slowly roll out of our forward fold. Engage your core. We're pressing into our feet. We're firming up the legs. We have an internal rotation of those thigh muscles as we start to tuck under the tailbone so we can lift the back. You can walk the hands up if you need, but coming on up one vertebra at a time, rolling the shoulders back and down, and just giving yourself a breath here to let the blood come back to the head. We'll do another fold once more. Reaching downward, inhale, extend arms up, lifting all the way up, panticulate if you need to, and engage the core. Bend the knees and hinge at the hips. Get that center of gravity right at the hips. Come on down for another fold. And it's about 3 breath cycles this time. So again, you can do what feels good to maybe lengthen a little more in the legs. Maybe relax a little more in the arms. See if you can have your arms just dangling it in front of you. Or maybe see if you're holding onto your head. And as you're there, we're going to have one more deep inhale and exhale. And you can come out with a slow roll up once more or with a straight back. But either way, we engage our core and come up with a inhale. So pressing into the feet, engaged core, come on up, your choice. Slow roll up or one long straight back. Either way, hands above the head, somewhat above the head, hands exhaling down, heart center. And now we'll begin our walking meditation. Bring some standing weight to the left leg and lift the right foot. Exhale the foot down. You can do a heel, ball of foot, toe movement, or work from the center of the foot. And then we lift the other foot with the inhale and exhale that down. Essentially, it's 1 breath cycle per step. And if you start to get wobbly, press into the palms, engage your core if it became soft, and we'll meet at the top of the mat. Looking down at the fingertips, press into the palms and watch the fingertips rise as we inhale them up. Separating the palms, exhale, engage the core, hinging at the hips, come on down, another fold. And then this time we're going to put our hands to wherever we have contact. Maybe it's the thighs, maybe it's the shins, maybe it's the feet, maybe these blocks. But go ahead and lengthen for a half lift here. And feel that you're being supported, hopefully from the hips down to the heels. And you're finding that lengthening from your tailbone all the way to the crown of the head. It might be more at a 45-degree angle. That's okay. Just do your best. You just want to find that lengthening. And then exhale. Try to release back to the fold. Hands to the blocks or hands to either side of your feet. And we start to walk the feet back. Bending the knees helps you to do this. And as we bring the feet back, we're going to inhale the shoulders over the wrists for a brief moment, and then bring down the knees and let the shins and the tops of the feet support your upper body. If you would like to do a full high plank, you're more than welcome to do that, but we'll do that on our second one. And so here in our first modified high plank, all we're doing is looking for support from the shins and the tops of the feet, so that the knees are not bearing all the weight, and that arms extended are strong and holding up your chest. Fingers are splayed, and hopefully you can feel each and every joint gently supporting you, strongly supporting you. So let's go ahead, inhale, tuck the toes. We're going to lift up the hips, exhale, press into the arms that are extended, and bring the hips slightly back towards the back of the mat. Your knees might need to be really bent. They might be nice and long. And the heels might be way up, or they might be near to the floor, if not on the floor. But wherever your dog is, what we're looking for is
energy of the arms and the legs going downward while the hips are lifting upwards. And we're here for about 5 breath cycles. We've probably gone through half of that already. So you can walk your dog here like you are gently, alternately bending one knee and the other in the forward fold. You can also do that here in your dog. Take one more deep inhale, one more deep exhale. Really bring that belly button towards the spine. And we're going to roll the eyes towards the hands. Keep the bend to your knees nice and deep if you need. And walk the hands to the back of the mat to your fold. And here, feel your bottom. Really feel that support right above the heels. And here, we can inhale to a half lift. Exhale back to the fold. Keep a bend to your knee if you need. And we're going to inhale to a slow roll up, pressing into the feet, firming up the legs, or come up with a strong back all the way up to mountain, hands down, heart center. And we'll do another walking meditation, standing weight to the left leg, lift the right foot, inhaling, exhaling it down fully, engage the core, inhale, left foot up, exhale that down. Slow walking meditation, a soft, faraway gaze out in front. And as we reach the top of the mat, 1 breath cycle per footstep. We'll meet in mountain, looking down at the fingertips. Inhale, press into the palms and watch them rise. At the top, separate the hands, engage the core, keep the bend to the knees if you need, and hinge at the hips. Fold, walk the hands down if you need or float. Down at your fold, make contact with the hands, and inhale for a half lift. Exhale, come on back down to your fold, and we start to walk the feet back. Keep the bend to the knees to help. And here we're going to inhale, shoulders over the wrists, nice long legs though. Feel as if you're internally rotating those thighs, and you're feeling that length from the heels all the way to the crown of the head, as well as the arms, shoulders down to the wrists, and even the heels down to the balls of the feet. Take one more inhale and lift up the hips. Exhale, press into the hips back for the down dog. And here, it's another short time, about 3 times, so you can walk your dog. You can lift up the hips and roll to the tips of the toes, and then exhale slowly. See where your heels land. See if you can lengthen through the legs a little more. And remember, it's an upside down V we're looking for, but we might be an upside down U for a while, and that's okay. Just make sure with the next inhale, we're going to roll our eyes towards our hands. And then bending the knees, we're exhaling, walking those hands to the back of the mat, to the fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Lengthen through the back, best you can, and then exhale, fold. You can bend the knees once more if you need. Bring that center of gravity towards the heels, and then inhale. Slow roll up or strong back once more with an inhale. Engaged core. Hands down, heart center with the exhale. And then finally down to our side. And I encourage you as you're moving through this, if something doesn't feel right, then, stop and move into it differently. But you're going to find that your body is responding. As you move slowly, you'll get a better idea of how your body is reacting to that too. So in the case that you need to come out, that is really helpful to move slowly and with exploration. And then we start to speed it up a little more once that's available. So if you have some water, go ahead and drink some of that. But we're going to be moving now to our standing balance pose. And it's just that same sort of wide-legged standing. And we're going to think of this as you go into your mountain, and then just simply stepping a foot out, maybe another foot out. But we want to basically have a little wider than our normal hips, feet under the hips stance. And as we do that, feel where your feet are once more. Are the balls of the feet, imagine your big toe, that big pad under that.
If that starts to lift up, you're more than likely rolling out towards the outer edges. So see if you can bring a little more pressure down there. That just helps to bring even balance to the soles of the feet. And when you do that, you may even feel like you're kind of pulling. There's just that intention of keeping the legs separate and that internal rotation of the thighs. And then basically when you find yourself nice and supported, tucking under of the tailbone, feeling, if you have the benefit of a mirror at home, if you can see at the side, you'll notice whether the hips are a little more tented or whether the shoulders are pitched forward. We want to eventually get everything stacked on top of each other if you can. This is a great way to get that first started, starting at the foundation from the hips down to the legs. And we'll start with our arms. Go ahead and bring the arms, thumbs at the top, up towards the head. If you can have the palms touch, that's great. If not, that's okay. Just have them facing each other. Take a breath here. Notice if anything changed in your support. How about the feet? All right, we'll go ahead and inhale. Interlace your fingers and pull out your pointer finger and your thumb if you can and reach all the way up. We're going to panticulate now. We're going to press into those big balls of the feet and just stretch on up. And then hands gently exhaling down, heart center. Go ahead and just release them off to the side. Give yourself a little bit of movement. See if you can release at the tops of those shoulders. Notice if anything changed in your stance here. Inhaling once more, nice and tall. Bring the hands up above the head. If it's pitched forward, that's okay. Just work your way towards this. If you can interlace the fingers, that's great. Inhaling, we're pointing the fingers up. Exhaling, we're just starting to move that pointer finger. Don't lose that balance of the left foot as you, or of that other foot as you move to the side. This foot is anchored down, and we hopefully will have a nice long diagonal. Okay, inhaling all the way back up. Exhale, let the hands float down and release. Give yourself another little just movement. And coming on back, we're coming up once more. Lifting all the way up, lengthening through the legs, engaging the glutes slightly. If you can interlace the fingers, go ahead. And inhaling, reach up, panticulate through the feet, and then start to stretch on over to the other side. And we're feeling, again, this foot is anchored. We've got more of a diagonal here. Lifting. And then inhale all the way up. Exhale. Let the hands come down, heart center once more. And really, this time we're going to let those shoulders get a little more movement, a little release, hopefully, with that. And then go ahead and bring in those feet. Bring yourself into a home base position. And notice how the hips feel. Give yourself a bounce. You can lift one heel, lift another. Notice how that feels in the hips, in the legs. And we'll go ahead and come on down to the mat. We're going to meet on our sits bones with a wide-legged stance. So coming on down, however is comfortable for you, you can try to hold on to your blocks. You can start to hinge at the hips, come on down, squat. And however you'd like to get down, I like to drop my knees and then eventually the hips. Or just come on down if you're able to. However is comfortable. And we start, I'm just going to start in this position so that I have a camera perspective. But once more, we're widening the legs. And now it's a little different. We've got a flexion in the hips. So we're going to deal with issues of moving the legs outwards, and it doesn't do it too much, but we now have a little less space here. So what we want to do is make sure you have any flesh moved away from the center there, and we're trying to keep upright. So notice if you're curving in your back. Down here, what we're looking for is this lifting up of the chest. So we might just need to notice if we're sitting correctly on our hips. If it's difficult, to flex the hips and have the chest supported in a somewhat 90-degree angle, then it might be that we just need to have a little bit of elevation for our hips. So you might need to be on a rolled up blanket, you might need to be on a block, but eventually we're just at this very basic point trying to feel like the legs are nice and long, a little wider than our stance, just as we were before, and that we have that flexion in the hips at that 90-degree angle. So if you're able to get to that point, and you've got that nice upright seated position at the hips, then we're thinking about widening at the legs, just increasing that, moving away from the midline right there, that abduction of the hips, just so that we have a little more space. So you'll notice how tight your hips are. Your knees might start to roll outward. We want to have them kind of facing the ceiling if we can, while we're still maintaining that 90-degree angle here. So we're just working there. If we're working on keeping the hips open so we can sit upright and not curve out our lower back, then we might need to sit higher up, maybe on a block or a bolster. If we've got that and we're able to keep our legs with the knees and toes pointed upwards, then we've got a really good opening here. We're going to start to walk forward for a forward fold. You might need a block to help support your chest if your chest doesn't make it all the way down to the floor. I know mine does not lately. So for me, sometimes 2 blocks is a good thing. But bringing yourself upright and feeling you've got a good situation here with the legs nice and open. And again, if you're rolling out, you might need to narrow the distance between the legs if you keep rolling out. And all we're trying to do is have an upright position with our torso. As we exhale, we're hinging at the hips once more, starting to bring flexion deeper now with this wide stance of the legs. Just getting more opening in the hips. And at the same time, lengthening through our hamstrings. And hopefully, once we get to that edge, if you find that you can't go any further than this, then you might just be somewhat upright. You might have a few blocks helping you here, and that's okay. If you've got a deeper flexion of the hips and your chest is resting more on the legs, then that's great too. We find that flexion, that bending at the hips, and when you've reached your edge, then you can relax your shoulders, your head, your neck. Perhaps you have blocks conveniently located, so all you have to do is rest a forehead. Now you might have your complete chest on your thighs, you might have a cushion here, you might have blocks. So what your forward fold in this somewhat wide-legged stance looks like for you might be different from someone else, but everyone's intention is for the hip opener, a nice lengthening of our hamstrings, calves, Achilles heels, the backs of the legs. And you can wiggle your toes. That's just something that might feel good. But once you reach that edge, and you're in a good fold and relaxing here, now we breathe 10 full breath cycles. And see if you can hear the ocean at the back of the throat. And imagine with each inhale, energy entering the body. And if you can imagine just riding along with that energy, seeing if you can find any achiness in the body, so that with every exhale, that tension releases and your body is able to find some healing in that space. Slow inhales, slow exhales.
As you round out your last breath cycle or two, we'll prepare to come out of this pose. If you have your head supported, go ahead and remove your blocks. Start to bring the hands closer to the shoulder, under the shoulders, so you can start to lengthen through the back, supporting the upper body. And we'll start to lift the torso, drawing the hands upwards to help. And once you're back in an upright position with the torso, remove any of your blocks there. We're going to go ahead and bring in the left knee. So we're already in a wide stance here, so all we need to do is start to bend this left knee and draw in that inner, the sole to the inner leg of the opposite leg. So we're just coming into a half butterfly, essentially. And as you're bringing this foot, the left foot, to the right leg's perhaps ankle, perhaps the thighs, the calf, maybe even the thigh, inner thigh, it just depends. We're looking on not having this knee too high up. So if you need a support with the block, if that's feeling uncomfortable for you, having a block there to help you support it until it feels safer, until it's just able to not have one. You might just need a lower setting, or it might just be good there, and that's what's needed for this time in your practice. But we're hopefully externally rotating through this hip, getting a nice bend to the knee, as well as a slight ankle stretch as well. And the farther up the leg you go, the more intense all three of those joints will receive their opening. So just use what's available for you. And then when you're here for about 5 breath cycles. We've been through at least half of that, so taking a good deep breath. And once more, drawing up the yogic breath. And you're just noticing how the ankle feels, how the knee, how the hip, if somewhere else in your body pops up. And as you reach your last couple of breaths, if not last breath cycle, we'll come out of this by internally rotating the leg before or as we're lengthening the leg back down the mat. And bringing that internal rotation once more so that the knee and the toes are lifted up towards the ceiling. Give yourself a gentle tapping out of the knee. Pitch forward the torso. See if you can lift up a little higher now with your seated position. With that opening with the left hip, maybe that helps you sit up a little taller. Now we'll be going with the other leg. So if this one narrowed in a little more and you need to widen that, go ahead and reset your wide leg stance. And we'll go in for the half butterfly on the other leg, the right leg for me now. So inhaling, we just bend the knee. And again, you might need to lean back a little bit, but start to draw the foot towards the opposite leg. Notice where it lands. It may be a completely different story. And again, as we're moving up the inner left leg, or the inner leg of the other leg, you're just noticing how that feels in the hip of the right side. So if it's too high up, you may notice that you're starting to struggle. You may notice your breath change. Those are really good indications you should, come out of it with and go back in with less intensity. If you're feeling pretty good, you might go a little higher. It takes about 3 to 5 breath cycles to find that edge. And again, maybe a prop will help you facilitate what you need so you can hold this pose with comfort and steadiness. And again, we're just keeping hopefully that upright position with our back. And once you find your edge, breathe into it.
And it's 5 breath cycles from that time that we find that sweet spot. You may find that in the very last breath cycles, an exhale may find something releasing from your thigh, from just that side of the body that you gave the space and the time to allow this release. All right, so to come out, we're going to remove our blocks, any props, and we're internally rotating the right hip or that hip as we extend through that leg and bring an internal rotation finally as it goes back to its former area with the knee and the toe pointed towards the ceiling, hopefully. And then you can once more adjust your seated position. Notice if you can sit up a little taller, tap out your knee if it's feeling a little stiff. Do any movement that feels good here in this transition. And as we're coming along now, we're going to move into a bridge position for a final pose of spinal twist. And I need to be in the other position this way here, but when you go into your bridge, all you need to do really is just go down one elbow at a time, or however is comfortable for you to get down onto your back. If your neck could benefit from a folded blanket, sometimes that space there is just not comfortable for some people, so having a folded blanket there. We don't want any pinched skin, so go ahead and bring your elbows up above the chest. If they can touch, sometimes that just widens that space at the mid-back, right there at the shoulder blades, so that you're not pinching any skin. We'll bring our arms down to our side, and the feet should be somewhat heel-to-toe alignment at about hips distance apart. And with the knees pointed upwards, we're just laying out here for a moment and see with the next inhale if you can reach for the right thigh and lift the right foot. If that's available to you, then you're in a good spot. If you're having difficulty reaching it, you may need your strap and using the strap to help meet any distance. You can hold it there. But our first point in our bridge before we start the extension of our legs for that spinal twist is just to get our legs in that 90-degree angle. So extending through the right leg, and then notice again if you need to internally rotate, press through that big toe so you can draw that internal rotation, and then just rest that. Hopefully your sacrum is supported on the floor. And then we'll go ahead and extend through the left leg. Once you've got that down, you're going to notice whether that hip is really tight. And I guess caught there, let's see. So as you're lengthening down, you might have a tented knee on this left leg, on the leg on the mat. You just want to give yourself some time to relax. You might be able to inhale and press out through that left heel. Maybe that might help. Maybe a gentle bounce on the knee. And then it's basically going to be where it needs to be. So as your leg is extended, if you've got it out at an angle, we're just working on finding the left leg down with the right leg at this 90-degree angle, just lifting straight up. And you can just work with that if you need to. You might need the strap there to help bring the thigh to that 90-degree angle and eventually bring this calf and the leg to a length that's somewhat in a 90-degree angle as well. And you can always use your strap to help. Oops. It's not around your thigh. It can be around the ball of the foot, the arch of the foot. And with that, you're just lengthening. And once we get to this position, and you can use your strap or you can use the material on your leggings, your leg. You can use whatever needs to be done. And we're just going to bring out the left hand, if we can, to our left side, either at an angle or at a T, straight out across. And all we need to do there is start to roll over towards the left. Now, if it's easier for you to hold onto the strap with the left hand and use your right arm out, then you can do that too. But essentially, we're just rolling to a spinal twist on the left side. And then give yourself, hopefully, that block or just some time. You might need to keep the strap around the leg if you don't go all the way over. Or if you do, find that spot where you can rest your leg, either on that block, landing strip block, or maybe it's the actual floor. The right shoulder can lift. It does not have to be on the floor. And you don't have to roll all the way over either. If you're just working on getting the leg up there and slightly over with the strap even, that might be something that you're working on. But here we're just going to breathe for about 5 breath cycles. Wherever you are, hopefully taking that ocean inhale, taking that ocean-like exhale, even with the torso twisted. And then to come out, well, if you have a strap in your hand, we're going to help use the strap to roll you over. You can use your arm position that you were originally in. You might need to switch the positions of the hands, and then we roll on back. And if your feet aren't tangled up in the blocks down there, then the next thing is to lower the foot that's up in the air. We'll go ahead and just let that land gently onto the floor. Remove the strap, any other prop. And we're going to inhale, bend the left knee. Bring the straight leg up into the base bridge position to meet the other knee. And there, we're going to hopefully have our sacrum nice and flat. Make sure your spine is aligned with the neck. We'll bring our arms out to the hips about 1/2 foot away, 6 inches away, and palms are down. Knees are nice and relaxed upwards, but just let your feet roll to the edge and bring those knees over to the right for a windshield wipe, for a windshield wipe of the knees to this side. Making it nice and slow, and savor this. It's another slow hold that might help you to release any tightness in this left hip, maybe in the left ankle. You might have your left knee resting on your right knee, right shin. Might be hovering there in the air. But just giving it a slow, good windshield wipe to the right. And then we're going to give ourselves some pressure, support through our back, our shoulders, our arms, and we're going to inhale. Bring the sacrum down as the knees come up, and we come on back to our soles of the feet, back to our base bridge position. Go ahead and give yourself another check for alignment, making sure that the spine and the neck are aligned. Knees are up towards the ceiling, feet are about hips distance apart. Arms are, again, palms down and about to support us as we start to slowly let the knees windshield wipe to the other side, to the left side. Just let them come on over. We're just rolling on to the left side of our feet, the feet position
hopefully shouldn't move too much at all. We're just rolling onto the edge, left edge. And as we do so, hopefully we find some release in the right hip, right knee, right ankle. And we're staying there for a few breaths. It's a nice slow windshield wipe, just as a counter stretch to the spinal twist. And then we're going to inhale, press into the arms, the sacrum, and bring the knees back up towards the ceiling. Make sure your base bridge position is back into alignment, neck and spine back into alignment. And now we lengthen through the left leg up in the air. So if you need that strap, if you just need the material around your thigh, we're going to inhale, bring the left thigh into a 90-degree angle if you can, lifting the left foot. If that's something you're working on, use the strap. Stay here for the next few breaths. If you're able to lengthen through that leg, that's where we're going to next. We want to make sure our sacrum is still on the floor, not rolling to one side or the other. We lengthen through the left leg now, best that you can. Make sure your right hip is not rolling up or off. Make sure your base is supported and balanced. If you transition to a new part, a different segment of the pose, and something changes in the foundation, you need to come back and readjust. And here, again, we're taking our 3 to 5 breath cycles just to extend through the left leg. And maybe our strap is helping us reach that point. But eventually, once we're able to keep that leg nice and upright, and hopefully internally rotated somewhat, you can always press out through the big pad of your big toe. We're going to extend through the right leg when you're ready. If you need to just deal with this segment of the pose, just stay here. So to go further, we just extend with the exhale. We extend through the right leg and see where that lands. See if you need to find some release there as well. Maybe the tented hip or knee needs to have an extension, a deep inhale, slight extension through the heel, and then a release. And that right leg will be where it needs to be, hopefully. And then we can go ahead using the strap or the material, situating our arms, making sure that as we inhale, oh, you may need your block. Sorry about that. The landing pad. If you have trouble beating the floor, inhaling, you just start to roll over, using whatever you need to get to the point that you need to get to. And again, your leg might be out there hovering. You might have the strap to help you there. You might have a landing pad to eventually roll over toward. You might have your foot on the mat, on the floor. But again, the other parts of your body are coming along for the ride. They might be your left shoulder still lifted, or it might eventually be able to relax on the floor. Your arm positioning, maybe your T position of the arms might feel better with them a little lower. But for that first 3 to 5 breaths, when you first move into that side of the pose, you're just finding where your sweet spot is. And once you do, go ahead and breathe 10 deep breath cycles. Quieting down the body with each inhale and exhale. You may find things start to release on their own. As you approach your last couple of breath cycles, come on out. If you have the strap, I'm going to make sure that we use that to help bring the leg up, or you can use your arms, material on the leggings. When you're back onto the mat safely with the sacrum flat, we'll go ahead and let the left foot land. Remove any of your props and just keeping the right leg back up with the left. We'll give ourselves another windshield wipe, and this time let your windshield wipe to the left begin. And you may not need to stay here as long. So if you feel that that's a nice stretch for you, you can go ahead and inhale and use your hands if you need to help bring your legs up, or make sure your sacrum is nice and supported. You've got that firm connection to your core. And you can windshield wipe to the other side with a little with an increased frequency. So sometimes if you start to windshield wipe, it might be really tight in there, so that's why you move slowly. But once you find you have that range of mobility there, then you can windshield wipe freely from side to side. Get yourself a nice little massage at the sacrum, at the glute, and then we'll go ahead and lengthen through the legs. We're going into Shavasana now. Now with both legs down, you might have a really lifted lower back, and this is somewhere again where a rolled blanket might help, or maybe just giving yourself some time to let the lower back release into the mat. But for some of us, if we know we just are not comfortable that way, keeping the knees bent, having them rest knocked inward is definitely an option that you can have in Shavasana. But, as well as a bolster to help support the knees and the legs. So wherever you are in your Shavasana, you're just trying to lengthen best that you can. Arms are out to the sides, palms are up hopefully. And if you're cold, put a blanket on. As you start your descent into Shavasana, I'll be sitting upright to mind the time, but you can lay down and let the body respond to today's practice. In about 5 minutes, you should hear the 3 bells to awaken.
Bring the mind back to the breath. Take note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to the breath. As the air enters the nose, feel the chest lift. As the air exits the nose, feel the belly fall. Making movements with the fingers and toes, rocking the body, doing something to help bring the body back into, bring the body and the mind back together, to bring yourself and your connection to your body. We'll meet in an upright seated position. You can use a fetal position, rolling to one side, and then helping yourself up with your forearm and hands. I'm sitting in a hero position for our breath of fire. You can sit in an easy seated position, one leg out in front of the other. Try not to have the ankle, supporting any part of your body. See if it can be somewhat released so that you don't have too much traction there. If you're going to be on your bottom, you can be on a rolled blanket. You can be on a block. If you're in hero pose and the knees can benefit from having a blanket right underneath, sometimes that helps with the more sore knees. Hello. So we are going to focus on our exhales. So when we're sitting in our hero pose or any seated position, starting our breath of fire, we want to have a good balance of our sits bones. So you want to make sure your torso is nice and balanced on top of your sits bones, and you're not leaning one side or the other. And then we'll go ahead and start. I'll put up the hand for our count of 20. The last one is a slow exhale, and we hold it for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then we do a slow release. We do that twice. So we begin with a deep inhale. Through pursed lips, we begin now exhaling. Hold it. And then release the breath. Let your natural breath return. And we'll come in for our second set. Sitting up nice and tall. Once more, inhale deeply. Start now. Fully exhaled, hold it. Release the breath. And bringing hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me here at the ACC's Community Room for Gentle Yoga at noon. Hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.